I asked my best friend if he touched my sister, and 6 hours later he was in the ER. I cornered Marcus after third period, pulling him aside near the gym lockers where nobody would overhear our conversation. My sister Lily had been acting completely different for weeks, jumpy and nervous, avoiding family dinners and staying locked in her room playing music way too loud. I'm Jake, and Marcus has been my best friend since second grade. We've never kept secrets from each other, shared everything from stolen candy to failed tests, which is why I had to ask him directly, "Did you touch my sister?" I said, watching his face carefully for any sign of guilt. His reaction was completely wrong. Instead of getting angry or confused like I expected any innocent person would, Marcus went completely pale, like all the blood had drained from his face. His hands started shaking visibly, and he kept looking over my shoulder like someone dangerous might be listening to our conversation. "Why would you ask me that?" he whispered, which wasn't an answer to my question at all. "Because she's been acting scared of something and you've been acting weird around her lately," I said. "Just tell me the truth, man." Marcus grabbed my arm hard enough to leave bruises later. "You can't ask me questions like that, Jake. You don't understand what you're doing by bringing this up." Then he walked away fast, practically running down the hallway and leaving me standing there completely confused about his reaction. The rest of the day, Marcus avoided me completely like I had some contagious disease. During lunch, I spotted him sitting alone at a corner table, not eating anything, just staring at his phone screen with this terrified expression that made my stomach twist with worry. When I tried to approach him, he immediately got up and left the cafeteria, abandoning his untouched food and practically sprinting toward the exit. After school ended, I decided to follow him home. Instead of taking his usual route through the residential neighborhood, Marcus walked toward the old industrial area behind the railroad tracks where nobody went anymore. I stayed far enough back that he wouldn't notice me tailing him, but close enough to see him checking his phone constantly and looking around nervously like he was being hunted. He stopped at an abandoned warehouse with broken windows and pulled out his phone. I crept closer, hiding behind a rusty dumpster, and heard him talking to someone in a panicked voice. "He asked me about it today," Marcus said, his voice high with fear. "What am I supposed to do now?" I couldn't hear the other person's response, but Marcus kept saying, "I understand," and "I'll handle it," in this scared, defeated tone I'd never heard from him in all our years of friendship. When he finally hung up, he just stood there for several minutes, looking like he might break down crying. Then he started walking home, but slowly, like he was dreading whatever was waiting for him there. 2 hours later, around 6 in the evening, my mom got a call that made her face go white. Marcus had been found unconscious in his backyard by his elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. The paramedics said it looked like some kind of severe allergic reaction, but they couldn't identify anything he might have been exposed to. At the hospital, his parents were frantically talking to doctors in hushed voices. They said Marcus had been completely fine when he got home from school, just mentioned wanting to get some fresh air outside. But the medical staff kept asking strange questions about whether Marcus had eaten anything unusual or been threatened by anyone recently. I sat in the sterile waiting room for 3 hours, thinking about how terrified he'd looked when I asked him about Lily, how he'd said I didn't understand what I was doing by bringing it up, the mysterious phone call at that abandoned warehouse, and the fear in his voice. When the nurse finally said I could see him briefly, Marcus was awake but groggy from whatever medication they'd given him. The first thing he said when he saw me walk into his room was, "I'm sorry, Jake. I never wanted any of this to happen to anyone." I asked him what he meant, and he looked toward the door to make sure no medical staff were listening. Then he told me something about my sister that made me realize I'd gotten everything completely wrong. And that's when I finally understood what had really been happening to Lily all this time. "I never touched Lily," Marcus whispers, his voice so weak I have to lean closer to hear him. His eyes dart to the hospital room door again, making sure we're alone, but I know who did. My stomach drops as I pull the plastic chair closer to his bed. The IV in his arm makes a soft beeping sound, tracking his heartbeat, which seems too fast. "What are you talking about?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's happening to my sister?" Marcus tries to sit up, wincing with pain. "They call themselves the Circle," he says, his voice trembling. "They run everything in our neighborhood, Jake. Everything. The businesses, the community events, even some of the police." He swallows hard, "and they've chosen Lily for their next initiation." I feel like I've been punched in the stomach. "What do you mean, initiation?" Marcus's fingers clutch at the thin hospital blanket. "They pick teenagers' girls mostly for their ceremonies. I found out about it by accident when my dad's friend let something slip at our barbecue last month. I started watching, noticing patterns." His voice cracks. "When I realized Lily was being groomed for it, I tried to warn her." Groomed? The word makes my skin crawl. The gifts appearing in her locker, the special attention from Mr. Kendrick, the invitations to those exclusive weekend gatherings at the community center? Marcus's eyes are wide with fear. "Those weren't coincidences, Jake. They were testing her, preparing her." My mind races back through the past few weeks. Lily coming home with expensive earrings she claimed were borrowed from a friend. The way she'd become secretive about her phone. The strange car that sometimes idled at the corner of our street. "I confronted her last week," Marcus continues. "Told her what I knew. At first, she didn't believe me. Said I was jealous or crazy." He looks down at his hands. "But then she started noticing things too. The symbols on the mailboxes of other girls who'd been chosen. The way certain adults would watch her at school." "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I ask, anger rising in my throat. "They threatened my family, Jake." His voice breaks. "My little sister said they'd hurt her if I talked. But when you asked me today if I'd touched Lily, I knew you were starting to notice something was wrong." I panicked. "And the phone call at the warehouse?" I was calling Mrs. Patterson. She's been documenting the circle's activities for years, but nobody believes her. Everyone thinks she's just a paranoid old lady. Marcus's breathing becomes more labored. After you confronted me, I knew I had to do something. I went to tell her I was ready to help expose them. And then what happened? I press. When I got home, there was a package on our porch. A gift box with my name on it. His eyes fill with tears. Inside was a cupcake with a note that said, "A sweet warning." I was stupid enough to take a bite before I saw the symbol drawn on the bottom of the box. The allergic reaction. The poisoned cupcake. I feel sick. The circle did this to you, I whisper, the reality sinking in. Marcus nods weakly. It wasn't enough to kill me, just to send a message to me and to Lily, to show what happens to people who interfere. When is this initiation supposed to happen? I ask, my heart pounding. This weekend, Saturday night. Marcus grabs my wrist with surprising strength. You have to stop her from going. Jake. The things they do to these girls. He shudders. Mrs. Patterson has files, pictures, evidence from past ceremonies. We need to call the police, I say, reaching for my phone. No! Marcus's monitor beeps faster as his pulse spikes. The police chief is one of them. So is Judge Harmon and Principal Wells. If you go to the authorities, they'll know immediately. He sinks back against his pillow, exhausted. The only way to save Lily is to get real evidence. Enough that they can't cover it up when it reaches the state investigators. A nurse appears in the doorway, frowning at Marcus's elevated heart rate on the monitor. I think that's enough visiting for now, she says firmly. He needs rest. As I stand to leave, Marcus grabs my sleeve. Check Lily's phone, he whispers urgently. Look for messages from someone called The Guardian. And Jake, his eyes lock with mine. Don't let her out of your sight. They're watching both of you now. The nurse ushers me out, and I walk through the sterile hallway in a daze, my mind reeling with everything Marcus told me. The circle, the initiation, the threats, the poisoning. When I reach the hospital parking lot, I pull out my phone to call home, to check on Lily. But before I can dial, a text message appears on my screen from an unknown number. Curious cats often meet unfortunate ends. Your friend should have taught you that lesson. Stay away from matters that don't concern you, Jake. I stare at the message, my blood turning cold. They know I was talking to Marcus. They know what he told me. And now they're watching me too. I step out of the hospital into the cool evening air, my mind still reeling from Marcus's revelations, the circle, the initiation, the threats. And now, the text message burning a hole in my phone and my consciousness. For a moment, I just stand there, paralyzed by indecision. Part of me wants to run straight to the police, but Marcus's warning about the chief being involved stops me cold. If what he says is true, I'd be walking into the lion's den. I need to see Lily. The drive home feels endless. Every car behind me seems to follow too closely. Every pedestrian seems to watch me pass. Paranoia creeps in like fog, clouding everything. When I finally pull into our driveway, I notice Lily's bedroom light is off. It's only 9:30 p.m. She never goes to bed this early. I rush inside, taking the stairs 2 at a time, and knock on her door. No answer. Lily? I call, trying to keep the panic from my voice. You in there? Silence. I try the knob locked. My heart hammers against my ribs as I pound harder. Lily, open up! Mom appears in the hallway frowning. Jake, what's going on? How's Marcus? Where's Lily? I demand, ignoring her question. She went for a walk about 20 minutes ago. Said she needed fresh air. Mom's expression shifts from concern to suspicion. What's happening? You look terrified. I mumble something about needing to talk to Lily about homework and race back downstairs, grabbing my keys again. Mom calls after me, but I'm already out the door. Where would she go? The initiation isn't until Saturday, according to Marcus. But what if he was wrong? What if they moved it up after he was hospitalized? I drive slowly through our neighborhood, scanning sidewalks and parks. Nothing. Then it hits me, Mrs. Patterson. Marcus said she had files, evidence. Would Lily know to go there? I make a U-turn and head toward the older part of our neighborhood where Mrs. Patterson lives in a small blue house with overgrown hedges. As I turn onto her street, I kill my headlights and coast to a stop half a block away. There, in the dim glow of Mrs. Patterson's porch light, stands Lily. She's talking intently with the elderly woman, who keeps glancing nervously up and down the street. I watch as Mrs. Patterson hands Lily what looks like a manila envelope before ushering her inside. I wait 5 excruciating minutes before approaching the house, staying close to the hedges for cover. Through a gap in the curtains, I can see them huddled over something spread across a dining table: photos, documents, maps. I creep onto the porch and knock softly. The conversation inside stops abruptly. Footsteps approach, and Mrs. Patterson's weathered face appears in a narrow crack of the door. Who is it? She asks, voice trembling. It's Jake, Lily's brother. Marcus sent me. Her eyes widen, and she opens the door just enough for me to slip through before quickly closing and double locking it. Lily stands frozen by the table, her face a mask of shock and fear. What are you doing here? She hisses. I could ask you the same thing, I say, moving toward the table. Marcus told me everything, Lily. About the circle, the initiation, all of it. Mrs. Patterson sighs heavily, so he finally spoke up. Thank goodness. Next on the Reezer. Sender? The dining table is covered with photographs, some recent, some yellowed with age. They show various community events, but Mrs. Patterson has circled certain faces, drawing lines between them to create a web of connections. I recognize Judge Harmon, Principal Wells, and several business owners from downtown. You've been tracking them, I whisper. Mrs. Patterson nods grimly. For nearly 30 years, ever since they took my daughter. Her voice breaks. They called it an initiation back then too. Lily steps forward, her eyes meeting mine. I've been investigating them for weeks, Jake, ever since Marcus first warned me. But you told him you didn't believe him, I say, confused. I had to. They were watching us. She points to one of the photos, a community barbecue from last summer. In the background, barely noticeable, is a man with a camera that isn't pointed at the event, but at the teenagers gathered near the pool. They're always watching. Mrs. Patterson pulls out a map of our neighborhood. Small symbols, circles with crosses inside them mark certain houses, including ours. These are the homes they've marked, she explains. Families with teenagers they're interested in. The pattern repeats every few years. But why? I ask, my throat tight. What do they want with these kids? Mrs. Patterson and Lily exchange a look. Power, Lily says quietly. Control. The circle isn't just some creepy cult, Jake. They're running a network of blackmail and exploitation. They record the initiations, then use them to control the families. That's how they maintain their grip on everything, Mrs. Patterson adds. How do you think Judge Harmon always rules in favor of certain businesses? Why the police never investigate complaints about certain people? They're all compromised. I sink into a chair, overwhelmed. So what's your plan? Marcus said you're infiltrating them? Lily nods. I've been pretending to be flattered by their attention, accepting their gifts, going to their events. Gathering information, she pulls out her phone, showing me messages from someone called The Guardian, instructions about where to go, what to wear, who to talk to. This is insane, I whisper. It's dangerous. We need to get help. From who? Mrs. Patterson asks sharply. The police chief is one of their leaders. The mayor's brother is their treasurer. Even some state officials are involved. We need evidence they can't ignore or cover up, Lily says. Something so big that even their connections can't protect them. I think of Marcus lying in his hospital bed, poisoned for trying to warn us. They tried to kill Marcus. I say, what do you think they'll do to you if they find out you're spying on them? Lily's face hardens with determination. I've never seen before. That's why we need to move fast. The initiation ceremony is Saturday night. If we can document what happens. A car drives slowly past the house, headlights off. We all freeze, holding our breath until it passes. They know we're here, Mrs. Patterson whispers, moving to turn off the lights. They've been watching my house for years. In the sudden darkness, Lily grips my arm. I need your help, Jake. I can't do this alone. I think of the text I received outside the hospital. They're already watching me, too. There's no going back now. What do we need to do? I ask. Mrs. Patterson pulls out one final document, a floor plan of the abandoned warehouse behind the railroad tracks, the same place I followed Marcus to earlier today. This is where it happens, she says. This is where we'll end it. The abandoned warehouse looms ahead, its broken windows like jagged teeth against the night sky. Lily and I crouch behind a rusted dumpster across the street, watching for any sign of movement. Are you sure about this? I whisper, my heart hammering against my ribs. If they catch us? They'll catch us for sure if we keep talking, Lily hisses back. She pulls her black hoodie lower over her face and checks her phone. Mrs. Patterson's map shows a side entrance near the loading dock that should be unlocked. We wait for a car to pass before darting across the street, keeping low. The gravel crunches beneath our sneakers as we skirt the chain-link fence surrounding the property. Every sound seems amplified in the darkness, my breathing, the distant hum of traffic, the occasional metallic creak from the old building settling. Lily leads us to a small door, partially hidden behind overgrown weeds. She tries the handle, and to my surprise, it turns easily. That's convenient, I mutter, suspicion crawling up my spine. The circle owns this building, she explains. They don't bother locking it because no one would dare trespass on their property. Except us. Except us, she agrees, a grim smile flickering across her face. The door opens with a soft groan, revealing a dark hallway that smells of dust and something chemical I can't identify. We click on our phone flashlights, keeping the beams pointed downward to minimize visibility from outside. According to Mrs. Patterson, the main ceremony room should be on the second floor, Lily whispers. That's where they'll hold the initiation. We move silently through the abandoned building, past empty offices with papers still scattered across desks as if everyone had left in a hurry. Old calendars on the walls show dates from 15 years ago, the last time this place operated legitimately as a manufacturing facility. As we climb a metal staircase to the second floor, I notice symbols carved into the walls, the same circle cross mark that was on the neighborhood map at Mrs. Patterson's house. Some look fresh, others worn with age. They've been using this place for years, I whisper. Lily nods. Generations of initiations, generations of victims. The staircase opens onto a wide open space that must have once been the main production floor. Now, it's been transformed into something else entirely. At the center stands a large stone altar, surrounded by concentric circles painted on the concrete floor. Candles line the perimeter, unlit but ready. Black fabric drapes the walls, and ornate wooden chairs, 13 of them, form a semicircle facing the altar. Holy shit. I breathe. This is real. This is actually happening. Lily's already moving, pulling out her phone to photograph everything. Look for evidence of their other activities, she instructs. Mrs. Patterson said, the circle uses this place for more than just ceremonies. I force myself to move, searching along the edges of the room. Behind one of the black curtains, I discover a door leading to what appears to be a storage area. Inside, stacked neatly on metal shelves, are dozens of file boxes labeled by year. Lily, I call softly, you need to see this. She joins me, and we open the nearest box. Inside are folders with names, girls' names, each containing photographs, personal information, and what looks like blackmail material. My stomach turns as I realize what I'm seeing. This is how they control people, Lily whispers, her voice shaking. They have dirt on everyone in town. I pull out my phone and start taking pictures of everything. The files, the names, the evidence of decades of exploitation. Lily does the same, working methodically through the boxes. We need to get this to someone outside the circle, I say. Someone at the state level who can't be bought off. A loud bang from downstairs freezes us both. Voices echo through the building, multiple people entering. They're early, Lily hisses, panic flashing in her eyes. No one was supposed to be here until tomorrow's preparation meeting. We quickly replace the files and shut the storage room door, ducking behind the black curtains just as footsteps reach the top of the stairs. Make sure everything's ready for Saturday, a deep voice commands. The Guardian wants this initiation to be perfect. I recognize the voice, Principal Wells. My blood runs cold as I peek through a gap in the curtains. He's accompanied by 3 men I don't recognize, and Officer Brandt from the local police department. What about the Patterson woman? Brandt asks. She's been asking questions again. She's harmless, Wells dismisses. No one believes the ramblings of a crazy old lady. And the boy in the hospital? One of the other men asks. A regrettable necessity, Wells sighs. He was getting too close. The dose was carefully measured, he'll recover, but the message was delivered. They move around the room, checking preparations, completely unaware of our presence just feet away. Lily and I stand frozen, barely breathing, until a phone rings. Lily's phone. She'd forgotten to silence it after taking photos. The men go quiet. What was that? Brandt demands. Lily looks at me in terror, then makes a split-second decision. She steps out from behind the curtain, leaving me hidden. I'm sorry, she says, her voice surprisingly steady. I didn't mean to intrude. The men stare at her in shock. Then Wells steps forward, his expression shifting from anger to a calculating smile. Lily, he says smoothly, what an unexpected surprise. We weren't expecting you until Saturday. I was curious, she replies, sliding her phone into her pocket. I wanted to see what it was all about before, you know. Wells exchanges glances with the others. Well, since you're here, perhaps we should discuss your role in more detail. My heart pounds as I watch from behind the curtain, desperate to help but knowing any move would reveal my presence too. Lily catches my eye through the gap and gives the slightest shake of her head, stay hidden. I'd like that, she says, her voice betraying none of the fear I know she must be feeling. I want to know everything about the circle. Commendable enthusiasm, Wells says, though suspicion lingers in his tone. But I have to wonder why you're here, alone, in the dark, without invitation. I wasn't alone, Lily says quickly. Marcus told me about this place before he got sick. I was supposed to meet him here tonight, but... The men relax slightly at this explanation. Ah, Marcus. Wells nods. Yes, his accident was unfortunate, but necessary. He was becoming a liability. I understand, Lily says, and I marvel at her ability to stay calm. Loyalty to the circle comes first. While they talk, I carefully edge toward the staircase, staying behind the curtains. I need to get out, to get help. As I reach the top of the stairs, my foot catches on something metal that clatters across the floor. What was that? Brandt demands, drawing his gun. Probably rats, Wells says, but he's already moving toward the curtains. Go! Lily shouts suddenly. Jake, run! I bolt down the stairs as gunshots crack behind me, splintering the wood near my head. I hear Lily scream something about being on their side, about me following her without her knowledge. I don't stop to listen, taking the steps 3 at a time until I reach the bottom floor. More footsteps thunder behind me as I sprint through the dark hallways, desperately trying to remember the way out. I slam through the side door we entered through and keep running, not stopping until I'm several blocks away, hidden in the shadows of an alley. My phone buzzes with a text from Lily. I'm okay. Convince them I didn't know you followed me. Stay away from home. They'll be watching. I try to catch my breath, my mind racing. I need to get help, but who can I trust? I call Mrs. Patterson, but there's no answer. Next, I try the local police station, asking to speak with anyone other than Chief Morris or Officer Brandt. Detective Simmons speaking. A gruff voice answers. My name is Jake. I begin, my voice shaking. I need to report something about a group called The Circle. There's a long pause. Where are you calling from, son? I can't say. They're after me. Another pause. The Circle, you said? Hold on a moment. I hear muffled voices, then the detective returns. Jake, I need you to come to the station. We can protect you. How do I know you're not one of them? I demand. The police chief is involved. Officer Brandt, too. Listen carefully, Simmons says, his voice lowered. I'm with state investigations. We've been building a case against the Circle for months. Your friend Marcus contacted us anonymously 3 weeks ago. My heart leaps. You believe me? We do, but we need evidence, and we need it now. I think of the photos on my phone, the altar, the files, the names. I have some, and my sister is undercover with them right now. Your sister? Alarm sharpens his voice. The initiation candidate? Get to the station now. Use the back entrance on Maple Street. Ask for me by name only. I end the call and start moving, sticking to shadows and back alleys. As I approach the police station, I spot 2 patrol cars parked out front, one with Officer Brandt leaning against it, scanning the street. They're watching. They know I'll try to get help. I circle around to Maple Street, approaching the back entrance with caution. Before I can reach it, headlights flash once from a sedan parked in the shadows. The window rolls down, revealing Detective Simmons. Get in, he says urgently. Quickly. I hesitate, my hand on my phone, ready to run. Your sister's in danger, he adds, and so is everyone else involved in Saturday's ceremony. We don't have much time. I make my decision and slide into the car, clutching the evidence that might finally bring down the Circle if we can act fast enough to save Lily and the others before the initiation begins. I need to find someone who can help us, someone outside the circle's reach. My mind races through possibilities as I huddle in Detective Simmons' unmarked car, my phone clutched tightly in my hand. The photos of the warehouse ceremony room and blackmail files feel like they're burning a hole in my pocket. Your evidence is good, Simmons says, scrolling through the images I've shared, but we need more to make arrests stick. The circle has powerful connections, even at the state level. My teacher, Miss Rivera, I blurt out. She's new to town, only started this year. She mentioned once that she used to work for a prosecutor's office before teaching. The circle wouldn't have had time to get to her. Simmons considers this. It's worth a shot. Can you contact her? I nod, already dialing. It's nearly midnight, but this can't wait. After 4 rings, she answers, her voice groggy with sleep. Miss Rivera, it's Jake. I'm sorry to call so late, but I'm in serious trouble. There's a pause, then her voice sharpens. Jake, are you safe? What's happening? I need your help. It's about a group called The Circle. The silence on the other end stretches so long I think she's hung up. Then, quietly, where are you right now? With a state detective. My sister's in danger. Please. Come to my apartment. Don't tell anyone else where you're going. She gives me an address across town. And Jake, be careful. They have eyes everywhere. 20 minutes later, we're sitting in Miss Rivera's living room. Her walls are lined with law books, and a laptop sits open on her coffee table. She listens intently as I explain everything: Marcus's warning, Mrs. Patterson's evidence, the warehouse, Lily's undercover mission. I worked public corruption cases in Boston for 7 years, she says when I finish. I've seen organizations like this before. They thrive in small communities where everyone's connected. Can you help us? I ask. She nods grimly. I still have contacts at the federal level. This crosses state lines with their blackmail network. That gives us jurisdiction. Detective Simmons leans forward. We need to move fast. The initiation is Saturday night, that's tomorrow. If what the boy says is true, multiple girls will be at risk. Miss Rivera is already typing on her laptop. I'm contacting the FBI field office. We'll need a warrant for the warehouse and a tactical team. She looks up at me. Jake, we need to establish communication with your sister. If she's inside, she can signal us when to move in. She has her phone, I say, but they'll be watching her. We need a code, Simmons suggests. Something that won't raise suspicion if they check her messages. I think about it. Homework. I could text her about homework for Monday. If I mention the history project, that could be the signal that help is coming. Miss Rivera nods. Good. Tell her to send a specific response when the ceremony actually begins. I draft the text carefully. Hey, don't forget we have that history project due Monday. I'll handle the research part if you can do the presentation. Text me when you start working on it. The response comes 2 minutes later. Got it. We'll let you know when I start. Don't worry about me. Relief floods through me. She's okay. She understands. The next 12 hours pass in a blur of planning. Miss Rivera's federal contacts arrive before dawn, serious men and women in dark suits who set up equipment in her apartment. They take my statement, review the evidence, and coordinate with Detective Simmons. By noon, they have a warrant and a tactical plan. The raid will happen tonight, the lead agent tells me. When your sister signals that the ceremony has begun, we move in. You need to stay here, where it's safe. I shake my head. I need to be there. Lily needs to see a familiar face. They argue, but eventually agree I can wait in one of the surveillance vans, far enough from danger but close enough to help identify circle members as they're arrested. As evening approaches, my phone buzzes with a call from my mom. Jake, where are you? I'm worried sick. First Marcus, now you disappearing all night. Mom, I'm safe. I interrupt, but I need you to stay home tonight. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone. What? Jake, you're scaring me. Please, Mom. I'll explain everything later. Just trust me. After I hang up, Miss Rivera puts a hand on my shoulder. You're doing the right thing. The circle has controlled this town for too long. Night falls. We position ourselves in vans near the warehouse. Agents in tactical gear waiting for Lily's signal. My heart pounds so hard I can barely breathe as I watch the warehouse through binoculars. Cars arrive one by one, expensive vehicles with tinted windows. I recognize Principal Wells, Judge Harmon, even the mayor. That's Chief Morris, I whisper as another car pulls up, and there's Dr. Feldman from the hospital board. The FBI agent beside me notes each name. Your community's power structure is about to get a major shakeup, he says grimly. At 9:47 p.m., my phone lights up with Lily's text. Starting on the presentation now. Wish me luck. That's it? I say, my voice shaking. They've started. The agent speaks into his radio. Green light. All teams go. What happens next unfolds like a scene from a movie. FBI agents and state police swarm the warehouse from all sides. There's shouting, the crash of doors being breached. From the van's monitors, I watch as the agents storm the main ceremony room. Inside, they find 13 adults in dark robes surrounding the stone altar. Lily and 4 other girls stand in white dresses in the center circle, their faces pale with fear. When the agents burst in, chaos erupts. Some circle members try to flee, others freeze in shock. Jake, Miss Rivera calls from the front of the van. They've got Lily. She's safe. 30 minutes later, I'm holding my sister as she sobs into my shoulder. Around us, agents lead handcuffed circle members to waiting vehicles. Evidence teams photograph everything, collecting the ceremonial items and file boxes. I was so scared, Lily whispers. They were going to make us drink something. They said it would open our minds to the circle's truth. It's over, I tell her, though I know it's not entirely true. The arrests are just the beginning. In the days that follow, the story explodes across national news. Small-town cult exposed, decades of exploitation uncovered. The circle's network crumbles as more evidence emerges. State investigators find connections to similar groups in neighboring counties. The blackmail files implicate dozens of powerful people beyond our town. I visit Marcus in the hospital a week after the raid. He's sitting up in bed, color returned to his face. "You actually did it," he says, shaking his head in disbelief. "You brought down the circle." "We did it," I correct him. "You, me, Lily, Mrs. Patterson, we all played a part." He smiles weakly. "What happens now?" "Rebuilding," I say. The town's in shock. A lot of people can't believe their leaders were involved in something so dark. But there's talk of special elections, new leadership. Mrs. Patterson becomes something of a local hero. After 30 years of being dismissed as paranoid, her meticulous documentation provides crucial evidence for the prosecution. The files she kept help identify victims going back decades. Lily and the other girls who were targeted receive counseling. Some nights, I still hear her crying in her room, processing what almost happened. But during the day, she's becoming herself again, laughing more, spending time with friends, no longer jumping at shadows. As for me, I can't walk through our neighborhood without seeing it differently now. The houses where Circle members lived, the community center where they recruited, the school where they watched for vulnerable kids. But I also see the new neighborhood watch groups forming, the community meetings where people talk openly about what happened and how to heal. The thing about circles, Miss Rivera tells me one day as we sit on her porch watching children play freely in the street, is that when you break them, you create an opening, a way forward. I think about Marcus, about how this all started with him trying to protect my sister, about how I misunderstood everything. I think about how secrets and silence allowed the circle to thrive for generations. No more circles, I agree, just open paths and honest words. And for the first time in months, our town begins to breathe again.